Hello, my name is Abigail and welcome back to my channel. Today I am continuing with my planets as characters. So far I have done Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, and Jupiter. Next is Saturn. So I have been struggling a bit lately with inspiration and sketching on camera. So I actually sketched this in a local coffee shop and I really like it. So I'm going to use this and my light box, and I am going to retrace with this Prismacolor Col-Erase colored pencil in the shade pink. I'm going to use my light box and trace this onto a separate sheet of paper so I can color it. All right, so I got the blinds shut and I taped this down a little bit so that way you can, I can kind of shift it around and I won't move it away from the piece. Okay, voiceover time. So here I am obviously using my light box and my pink pencil to trace the sketch onto a separate piece of paper. This paper is Expressit blending card. It is a really smooth and thick cardstock that is perfect for markers, honestly. I think I have yet to find anything that I like as much as I like this paper, so that is exciting. It's one of my favorites. So whenever I'm doing kind of a completed illustration, I try to do it on this paper if I can, although I am a habitual sketchbooker, so I use a sketchbook all the time, but I never end up actually doing just sketches in there. I always end up completing them in there, but when I make a point to, I try to put my finished sketches or drawings, illustrations onto this paper. So like I said, I had designed this character off screen, so I knew I wanted to incorporate the rings of Saturn into her design somehow, and so that's where I got the arm positioning is almost as if she's holding them there. And then with each of these characters, I try to make them, they're almost goddessy. So she's in a beautiful, I try to do something flowing or just almost ethereal feeling. So that's where there's the stars on her hips and this flowing, beautiful piece of fabric and the jewelry and the hair and the crowns, and it's she's floating kind of thing. She's not necessarily standing there. And so I really enjoyed how it turned out. So I am almost done with the transferring part, and I'm going to be talking live in a second. Okay, can't hardly see that. Let me get the lights on so we can see this sketch. All right, so she is now ready for some ink. I think this is what I inked in the last time. So we are going to use a Micron 01 Fineliner, and I'm gonna get all of her inked, and I'm not going to do it on camera because I always mess up. So see you in a few. Okay, so she is inked. I am leaving this not inked in pen because I want it to have a softer feeling. And I've picked some colors, so let's get started. So the colors I chose were based off of this picture of Saturn, and I'm gonna try to leave this up on the screen for the rest of the video. So this picture did not really give me a lot of colors to work with. That is not something that I thought about when I started this series. I guess I just didn't realize how boring, like color-wise, so many of the planets were. When I originally was thinking about doing this, I was thinking about the bright red of Mars and this really like crystal clear picture of Mercury I had just seen, which was the first one I did because I'm doing them in order from closest to the sun to farthest away. And like there was like a new image from it, I don't know, a couple years ago maybe, I don't know. And there was like this really bright blue and like the lovely like rich colors of like Uranus and Neptune and stuff. And obviously Earth is very colorful as well, so it was just, that's what I was thinking about. I was not, however, thinking about how mostly bland Mercury is, how entirely neutrals Venus is, and then same now with Saturn. The only interesting thing, like design wise, like different from some of the others, is the rings. So I've had to get pretty creative with how I want these to look, like color wise. So for this one, I was trying to keep very, very light, because obviously even more so than Venus, like, was it Venus? What was the other one that was pretty colorful? Anyway, I was really trying to stay light, but obviously in order to make a piece interesting, you have to have some kind of like element of like a contrast. So I did make her a little, like I made her tanner than I was originally thinking, because like when you look at the planet, it's really, really pale. So I was like, oh, really, really pale. And I'm like, no, she can't, like there's gotta be something. It can't only be pale, because that'd be really boring to look at and that'd be really boring to color. So, and I did try to add some like yellowy elements, like, because I was trying to focus on kind of the color that I was mostly pulling out of Saturn was yellow. So, and with all of them, I've done like the bodice of the dress has had like a print similar to what the planet looks like to kind of pull from that. So outside of the rings, Saturn is very kind of stripy, which was similar to Jupiter. So I've also done Jupiter already. Jupiter was fun. Like I pulled out some different colors from Jupiter as well, like a golden color and a blue color, like a very, very muted blue. So she's probably one of my favorites from this series, but yeah. And so then I didn't, because this was gonna be so busy with the fabric and the rings, I decided to keep the skirt of the dress pretty simple. So there I just colored it this like pale, it's called like milky white, I think, and I do like it. And I started using this kind of muted gold for the gold on her jewelry and stuff. I do go back and use a bit of a brighter gold because it blended in too much. So, and at this point, I still had no idea what color I was gonna do her hair. Obviously, I make a decision, but, and now for this little shawl thing. So I wanted it to like start transparent, but like turn opaque. So obviously there by her arms, like you can see the arms through the fabric, but as you get down, see it like it completely covers her dress and stuff, so it like goes opaque, and I like that. And this was also where I tried to add in a bit more for the contrast, so I used that like ashy brown color that I was using sparingly, and then I used the darker versions of it, like as it progresses darker. And I made this kind of an ombre. Well, because I was trying to avoid ombre on the skirt, because sometimes I feel like design-wise for me, it's a bit of a cop-out. Like I use like a gradient, like ombre so often that I didn't want to have that be at the center of the dress. But I thought that this was a very fun way to add it into the design without having it seem too like overpowering of the dress. But this one is probably one of my favorites. I think taking the time to sketch off screen, which I know is like so fun for a lot of people, like I enjoy watching people sketch, but at least at this point, I am not comfortable doing it. I just can't. Whenever I sit down then to draw, like, it always seems like some of my worst pieces are the pieces that I sketched on camera. So sketching off camera has really, really helped my creative process, I guess. So, because I finished the sketch in a local coffee shop. So, and like, that's so fun because I got out of the house and I got to be in an environment that I like, and then I was feeling very, very inspired. So, and I think that this was one of my better designs. So I may sketch more in videos, but as I get used to it again, I'm kind of out of practice a bit. It's been a hot minute, so, because I moved and stuff, so it's been crazy. But so you just saw me, I don't mean to do that thing. You just saw me use a brighter yellow, and now here I am going with a bit more of like an orangey as well to add a bit more contrast to the gold, to try to make it read a little bit more as like metallic gold and not just something that is gold. And then for her hair, I didn't have it in me to do like dark hair or something, or even yellow hair, because this image that I was using of Saturn was just so light. Like, it was practically white. So I was gonna let her have white hair, but it needed to be it couldn't be plain white. So I used a really, really light gray. And then I used that for the rings, because the rings are supposed to be a cool element, but they're not supposed to be so overpowering. It's supposed to be just like a part of the drawing, not the focus of the drawing. So they are staying in the light colors as well. And then because I did not line them in pen, they needed a bit more of a line, like definition, so I just used the pink pencil again. So now I am going in with this very, very pale, like lavender, and I am adding in some shading. Lavender and like purples are my favorite colors to shade in. They are just quite dynamic. Like, they don't make the piece fall as flat, because like it sometimes washes the colors out. This is more of a muted one. Sometimes I use a brighter one, but it's just because the whole piece, I didn't want it to be too dark, so it was kind of my lightest one. Because like this one here, I go in and use a bit on the darker parts. It can get quite dark, especially for the pieces that are like really light, like that, her skirt portion of the dress. But I do go over it with some colored pencils later to kind of brighten that purple up. And I had realized I had not colored her lips yet, so I was going ahead and doing that. I think I do go over them with pencil later, because something that I have been adding more lately that I used to do a lot but stopped doing was going over my pieces with pencil. So I've started to do that a bit more. And with all of these, since they're kind of supposed to be like a magic-y, kind of goddessy, I don't actually draw in pupils. I color their entire eye like a certain color, like for her is yellow, and then I do yellow irises as well. So here I am using that pencil. It's a Prismacolor, like just colored pencil, normal, and it's one of my favorites. It just looks so good in shadows and stuff. That just like livens everything up a bit, just makes it more magical. And I have yet to find a color that this colored pencil doesn't look good going over top of, so it's just one of my favorites. So, just to have to, of course, I have to put all my information in there. If you like what you see, feel free to like, comment, subscribe. And if you want to see more artwork from me, more than I just make here, you can follow my Instagram. All of it is linked below, as long as my Etsy shop and my website, which is pretty new, so you can check that out. And I post blog posts there as well, so you can check out what I'm doing. Now this part is a little blurry and I'm so sorry. So in order to make sure that everything is looking good, I have my watch pulled up with what I'm seeing on camera, because I film with my phone. So I use the watch to see what my phone is seeing, and I must have bumped the dial, and so it zoomed out as I tried to cut it to zoom in a bit more, but this was the best I could get it, where you could still kind of see what was going on, but also it's not too blurry. I'm sorry, it's so bad. Luckily though, the video is almost over. So that was my second favorite colored pencil, and it's called Nectar, and I use that a lot for like eyeshadows, blushes, lips, which is what I was doing there. And now I am adding details with a Jelly Roll white gel pen in the size 10. So one of my favorites. I hop back and forth between Uniball Signos and Jelly Rolls. So far I've pretty solidly landed on Jelly Rolls. It's been a long time since I've bought a Uniball Signo. I just feel like they dry up kind of easy, so yeah, I don't know. I still love them a lot, but I can't keep buying them every time I need them pretty much. So I use this to add highlights to the eyes, the hair, the outfit. I go ahead and I incorporate some stars into the shawl thing, just another little magical element to it, because that's kind of why I do it. I love fantasy stuff, things that are girls that are magical looking. It's my favorite. It's what I live and breathe, drawing beautiful women. So, and then I just spent so much time doing that. That's my favorite part. I feel like coloring, like sketching, coloring, and then adding in the white gel pen is my favorite. Because sketching is my favorite because I love the designs, and then like trying to design something, and then the coloring, I love just like assigning the colors. It's just so fun and can be very relaxing, and it can really make or break a piece. And then the white gel pen is just like the cherry on top of everything. It's great. So like all of these as well, I like to add in the planet in the background. So I use this little circle piece of selenite that I had to trace a circle in the background, and that I am very loosely coloring to look like Saturn, because I did that in the back of all of my planet ones. The only thing is it did get kind of tricky because I had already like put the rings in, so I'm like, this is kind of messy. So that part is not my favorite part, but it ended up looking good anyway. She just looks flawless. So, and because this is very, very blurry, I do put in multiple clips and like zoomed in photos so you can really see all the details at the end, which is in like 2 minutes, not even 1 minute. So again, if you liked what you see, I would love if you would leave me a comment, subscribe. Next week I am trying Copic markers on blue paper. The blue paper I used last week with my kind of gouache paint fail, I am going to be trying markers on that. So I'm pretty excited about it. I have used toned paper before with Copics, but I have not used blue toned paper before. So, and with it being Copics, that is more in my wheelhouse than gouache is. So anyway, and the finishing touches on this piece, I wanted to kind of help push the planet farther back. I didn't have to do this with the others, but with her just having so many light tones, I felt like I needed to. So I just used that gray marker and I outlined her on top of the planet, so that way it was better. And I went in with that pencil to get it even more like the rings, so they stood out. So here are some up close clips. She's one of my favorites. So if you watched till the end, thank you so much, and I hope that you have a fantastic day. Bye.